And according to my computer screen, Winston, we are live.
Right,
Yep. Yeah, looks like we're live. It's kind of scary if I'm in charge of the technology.
it's questionable.
Well, hey, I just want to welcome everybody who will be watching this little interaction between Winston Harris and myself, and he'll introduce himself in just a moment. But welcome to the Lead Today community, where our heartbeat is to serve all people, but to really minister to leaders holistically, physically, spiritually, relationally, and practically, in the skill sets that we need as we grow as leaders. I'm still trying to grow as a leader. So, and again, just for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jim Piper, and this is Winston Harris, who I consider a friend and a brother and a colleague, really. Winston, introduce yourself and what role that you are playing in life right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim, for allowing me to be on. My name is Winston Harris. I have the honor and privilege of serving and being on staff at NorthRock Church. My role is campus pastor of our Midtown location, which we've recently reopened, formerly our Alamo Heights location. And so it's, just an honor and privilege to oversee that location, be able to lead our teams there, as well as assist in some other areas within the church, currently creative, and overseeing just various tasks and things to make sure that our church is communicating the gospel in creative and relevant ways. And so we have an incredible team. And once again, alongside Jim, just trying to take over the world for Jesus.
Winston, I know you well enough, and obviously in this short little time, we don't have time to do a whole bio, but you're already a pretty accomplished guy. You're a college graduate. You played basketball at a high level, as well as accomplished some championships along the way. You get kind of snatched out of corporate America, and you find yourself serving at a large church in San Antonio, Texas. And as I've gotten to know you, it's not a coincidence that you've already been an achiever. You've got a lot of leadership DNA, and leaders are always thinking about the next hill, the next level, the next goal. And this is not a test or anything. It's just kind of, well, where's your mind at right now in your life? Is it more focused in the personal realm? Is it more focused in the ministry, in the leadership realm? What's your next hill? What's your next mountain? What are you trying to get to?
Man, there's a lot going on in some ways. To speak to it as far as just personally expecting a child coming in August.
That's right.
I'm excited about that. Our first child, excited to be a dad. And then, just being a part of this second location for NorthRock Church. We launched originally, once again, in 2019, and then we only had about 5 months in that location before COVID hit and everything kind of went haywire.
Everything went COVID.
COVID. And so just much like everybody else, we had to kind of put that opportunity, that transition, that outreach on pause. And now we've reopened this location and this ministry. And so really digging in, looking to do this to the best of my ability. And so just this campus pastor role, once again, being the first campus pastor for NorthRock, trying to explore what that looks like, trying to walk myself and our team through it. And so really trying to hone in on being the best campus pastor that I can be. And one of those ways that I'm kind of approaching that, going through the Lead Today curriculum, is just kind of revisiting what my calendar looks like. walking through my values, my vision, my purpose, my goals, and making sure that my calendar is reflecting those things that are personal and professional values and visions for me. And so really alignment is something that Pastor Jim, you've talked about with me throughout our coaching sessions. And so just making sure that my calendar is in alignment with what I'm trying to do, which is to grow and to grow this campus and to add value to NorthRock Church in this role that I'm in.
Yeah, and just watching you lead is refreshing. I love watching you lead. You're creative. You're probably one of the most articulate speakers, particularly at your season, your stage in life. I always anticipate when you get in front of people, not just what you're going to say, but how you say it, and so you definitely have talent. And I want to hit you on a couple things here real quickly. Is you also told me recently that your mind's kind of been in the realm of servant leadership, and that you were even looking to do some writing and some teaching on servant leadership. Could you just share maybe a bullet point or two or three of the things that kind of stick in your mind about what servant leadership is? And then I'm going to come back to this goal of being the best campus pastor you can be.
Yes, sir. Yeah, my heart definitely is, it naturally gravitates towards servant leadership. The more I've studied it, I've actually have an opportunity to be in a theology and leadership program, Destiny Leadership Institute, and it focuses heavily on servant leadership. And just one of the things that jumps out to me as I've been studying it and as I've been living it out personally, is mission, being on mission. We all need a mission, a North Star in our personal and our professional areas. And so if we're not married to the mission, if we're not in love with the mission, then that kind of can deflate what we're trying to do. We can easily get caught up in the tasks day to day, and that mission needs to be a filter for us. It needs to be our why, our anchor, the thing that we come back to. If something we learned last year in 2020 is if we don't have a mission, if we don't have a why, then we can easily get lost. We can drift. We can float out of alignment in what we're trying to do and what we believe God has called us to do, what we believe our bosses or our organizations, our ministries, what we've been called to do. And so being married to the mission, like loving the mission, if we learn anything about of Jesus's leadership, if we're getting into ministry talk, he was about his father's business. He was about his father's business. He came for a purpose, and he was locked into that purpose. And then the vision has to be plain, it has to be visible, it has to be clear. Something that we talk about in our lead today coaching sessions and just the curriculum is getting it down, our playbook, getting that out there, revisiting it, crafting it, looking through it, making sure it fits. I think Pastor Jim, you've coached me on that, is just making sure it is relevant and it is real to your circumstances. I know kind of jumping into that initially, what that vision looks like for my life, and trying to figure out, man, am I living that out? Is it real? Do I have an imaginary vision, or am I practically living it out? And does it match? Is it in theory, or is it actually an experience that's happening? And do other people realize what my vision is? Am I communicating that appropriately? Can I paint a clear picture of the vision? And the vision is simply the mission in full. Like, we have the mission, and now can I clearly depict what that mission would look like completed? That is the vision. And then being able to invite people into that. Invitation would be that next point. If you're excited about something, you always want to tell people about it, right? You love a movie, hey, have you seen that movie? You love a certain song or something. You're excited to tell people about that. Well, if you're fired up about the mission, and you have a clear picture of what that mission would look like completed. Now you want to invite people to execute that mission and clarify it with that vision, and then mobilizing them. Once we've invited people in, now it's time to train them, to get them on board with what we're trying to do and send them out, because as servant leaders, we're doing a disservice to them if we're the ones that are always hands-on, if we're always the ones trying to do it. But if we can develop people and get them to step into their purpose within the mission, then we're truly being servant leaders. And so those are some of the things off the top of my head that I think about within servant leadership.
Well, you get me excited to hear you talking about, leadership. I wrote down some things while you were talking. At least for me, what a really clear mission does is it encourages me. It gives me fuel where I might not have any fuel. It's an inside out, kind of process. Because one of the things that I've learned in leadership is that even when I'm on mission, I face obstacles. And when I face obstacles, I don't know how that works, but it's kind of like maybe being punched in the stomach, where you almost forget what you're doing and you're in pain, the obstacle. And sometimes obstacles are actually opposition. And opposition is something that, makes us forget about the opportunities that come. And so I just think about how important it is to revisit our mission, to revisit, as you said, embody it and live it and breathe it, because we will have obstacles, we will have oppositions, and those things have the ability to blind us from the opportunities in that way. And the reason why I asked you about that servant leadership thing is because, I'm hearing you talk about your campus pastor role and the servant leadership and your approach to it. So let me ask you this. So you're on this journey to be the best campus pastor that you can be. And like you said, you're kind of the pioneer for NorthRock Church and being our first campus pastor. How are you measuring that statement? How are you measuring that goal? How are you measuring progress? How are you measuring success? Is there any kind of key metrics, or is there, what kind of outcomes is it that you're kind of looking at as maybe, the key that opens the door? I don't know. I'm reaching for an analogy or an illustration.
Yeah, I think the goal in general is a large one, and I think what I'm finding that it can be ambiguous in my striving for making it a tangible role, a tangible thing. I'm having to figure out maybe goals inside of this large undertaking. Maybe one of the ways that I'm learning, even coming out of what we initially started and then having to put it on pause and coming back into it, was actually redefining what wins look like and redefining what maybe achievement looks like as a campus pastor and as a campus. And so with the challenges of COVID and people maybe not coming back to church and not being comfortable coming back to church, what previously might have been an indicator of impact, which was attendance, having to kind of relearn what victory looks like in ministry in this season. And so looking at next steps is kind of one of the places that I kind of gravitating towards as I reach out to other campus pastors and learn what their experiences were, because one of the things I'm learning as well is I can't lead in isolation. So I have to lead collaboratively and learn from others, learn from other ministries and other leaders, and understand their experiences and how it comes back contextually in our experience. And so doing my due diligence in that end, understanding are people taking next steps in the ministry and on our campus would be one of the ways that I can, I guess, tangibly try to measure what success looks like as a campus pastor, amongst other things. But
yeah, we were together yesterday for quite a long time in the same space. We didn't talk that much together, but we heard a lot of the same things. And some of the things that really hit me. A couple of things was if we feel a calling that has anything to do with leading or shepherding people in any shape or size, then we also have a calling to problems. You know, receiving those problems, being present with those problems, and if we have an opportunity to solve the problems, that might even be, you know, a bonus. And at least that's the way that I received it, because I tend to be a problem solver. And what I kind of heard is that sometimes, you know, at least this is my story, sometimes I can be so busy trying to solve the problem that I'm forgetting other powerful things, like simply the ministry of friendship, the ministry of presence, you know, being there with the problem. And then the other thing I heard was, you know, we really got to focus on what we have, not what we don't, you know, what we don't have. And, you know, every week in your ministry, you can see the gain, you know, you can see the gain, and that's, you know, really important. You know, you and I are really connected today for some reasons that you already know, and other reasons that you don't know. You know, today has been a really difficult day for me. I found out, I'm not going to go into detail because it would expose other people that I don't have permission to, but you know, got some really bad news about a dear friend who lost a son today. Very unfortunate, you know, situation. Had some opposition today to deal with. Have an obstacle, you know, that I'm working on. And though I'm kind of emotionally drained from yesterday, I'm very thankful for yesterday because it really prepared me for. You know, for today. And because isn't it funny how when as leaders, and this is kind of how I want people to hear this, is that, you know, because you're talking about, I mean, let's color it in just a little bit. We only have a couple minutes left, but let's color it in for people. You were doing something brand new that we as an organization had never done before, and it was going pretty well. It was going pretty well. Of course, it's never good enough for leaders, but it was going pretty well, and it's like it just got taken from you.
Snatched.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Snatched. You feel like snatched, like
yeah, it's just snatched. And then as we've been trying to kind of, you know, climb out of that mud hole, you know, and trying to get back to some, and then we have something different than what it was. And I don't know about you, but from my vantage point, I know that we've got more hills to climb, but there's something kind of even more special about what we have now versus what, you know, we have then. And I think that one of the things that I appreciate about us and working together is that we are recognizing that the moment is rich. The moment is rich. Even the disappointments. I mean, because even as a larger body, you know, we experience loss beyond a gathering place. We experience loss of folks in our own realm, and in multiple ways, not just to COVID, but in ways that went beyond that. So it kind of sobers us up, you know, a little bit. And I like your answer because, you know, sometimes it is ambiguous, you know, and you and I were walking down the hall, and I'm going to let you close, but we were walking down the hall and we were both kind of collaborating as whether we should add something, you know, here in a couple weeks, few weeks. And, you know, what we're trying to do as leaders is we're trying to put our finger on the pulse of momentum, the pulse of timing. And as Lloyd Lewan, one of my mentors, always said to me, is that leaders often make really good decisions. Often we do. We actually make more good decisions than we do bad, but a lot of times we don't perceive it that way, and it doesn't come out that way, and it actually becomes a bad decision, not the decision itself, but the how and the when that we execute it. And sometimes goal setting is a little bit ambiguous. We're trying to figure it out. So though we have the funeral that you and I were both at, boy, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
Been a long week. Maybe that's why I'm tired too.
Hmm.
Been a long week. But the young man wanted to reach billions. And so I think what you're saying about mission is that, you have a vision that if you were to say it out loud, might make people snicker. But you still hold on to that. And then what you're doing is you're trying to reverse engineer all the way down to your calendar.
Yeah.
Down to your habits. And then maybe you'll get enough clarity where you say, okay, I see a few metrics that are rising to the surface in 90 days, in 6 months, and this. And whether I make those metrics or not, they're more like levers that kind of help you make decisions towards this big, ambiguous goal. Now, I just kind of took it down my path. I don't know if that is how you see it. How would you like people to understand what you just said in the last minute or two that we have?
Yeah, I think to tie it all together, and you mentioned moments, and we're talking about mission, and I can't help but the way my mind works, I automatically go to alliteration for some reason, but sometimes we get married to the moments instead of married to the mission. And so where we had something going at one point, it's so easy to romanticize and get married to that moment where things looked great pre-COVID, and whether that was your marriage or whether that was your ministry, or whether that was insert here, insert that blank. If we stay in that space, we miss the new thing that God is doing, or we miss the new opportunity that's in front of us. And we can get off mission because we're still stuck in that moment. And so in this process of learning what the next level looks like in the space that I'm in, I have to get back to the fundamentals. I have to get back into why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the mission about? And like you said, exactly what you said, reverse engineer that all the way down to the minute details of my calendar. Does my calendar match the purpose that I feel like I am being called to? Is my time being stewarded to the level that is going to help me to execute what's in front of me? And so it's mission. It's mission.
And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product of your servant leadership course. Of course, we at Lead Today are going to promote that, and we're excited for that. Thank you for taking the time today out of your crazy schedule. I know what's on your plate to just encourage people today who I'm sure that some of the things that we said really helped some folks. And not only that, this will be archived into a coaching kit, leadership kit that people can refer to. So thank you for giving, and I will see you soon.
All right, we'll see you. Thank you.
Okay, take care.